on the Game On podcast. A thrilling Melbourne Cup with an outside chance winning at Flemington. Lloyd Pope does all the damage to rescue South Australia and to beat Victoria in the Shield.
I became religious for an hour.
And Australia start well against Pakistan, but still some questions to be asked. Welcome to the Game On podcast. My name's Pete once again, joined here with Malcolm in the studio. And mate, let's kick off with your good for the weekend, just to kick us off.
Yeah, good. The good is obviously South Australia winning.
I thought you might say that.
But I will be honest, on Saturday, I had the pleasure of a particular lady come up to me and say, "You Malcolm." And I admit I did recognise her, yep. I'm Eloise Carey, and I'd just like to thank you for the support you give to the Carey family and that. And I ended up then sitting with Alex's dad, with Gordon, and Gordon had been crook. And he's well and truly on the mend, and it was a bit scary there for a while. Mm-hmm. So that was my most enjoyable hour of the last 3 days, and just awesome to spend some time with the Careys. And, yeah, really good news with Gordon. And then South Australia just played so well with every player contributing. And, yeah, Lloyd Pope delivering in the 11th hour yesterday. It was fantastic.
Oh, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But
certainly will.
South Australia obviously starting to make inroads into the cricketing season in a positive way. We have had Rhino on the show previously. It's going to be mighty hard to get him on at the moment. He's a busy boy, that's for sure.
Did speak to him yesterday.
Yep. Pakistan, obviously, with Jason Gillespie. So there's a few South Australian flavours going around in cricket at the moment as well. So
yeah, it'll be amusing to see Diz in the opposition room on Friday, and that side of things.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of probably the one day last night. There's more, just as many questions as answers.
Yep. We'll get into that in a minute. All right, let's get into around the grounds.
Around the grounds.
All right, today we're going to take a look at the AFLW, both Adelaide and Port Adelaide making the finals. We're going to take a look at the basketball as well. But let's start off with cricket, as we sort of already preluded there, I suppose, with South Australia with a huge 2 weeks, firstly against Queensland and now against Victoria.
Our first win over Victoria in a Sheffield Shield game for 9 years. So, yeah, it was fantastic to be there in the end yesterday. That is another saga. We will cover that later.
Yes.
Look, every player contributed. Lloyd Pope, cometh the man, cometh the hour right at the end. Ben Menenti had bowled really well in the first innings, fielded superbly, took 3 blinders.
That catch that he took for Pope was an absolute beauty.
Yeah,
that was Pope's first
behind him. Yeah, it was Hanscom's Pope's first wicket.
Yep.
Look, and at lunch yesterday, they're 1 for, you're thinking, oh, geez, you're going to hang on. And then all of a sudden, we got wickets in the second session. They're 5 for at tea. Sutherland got out pretty soon, straight after tea, to make him 6 for. Perry can bat, though.
Yes.
And he played well. And when McInerney dropped Perry, I thought, geez, that's probably it. But then Pope bowled him. He went to cut when he shouldn't have.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
No, all good.
And then, then Peter Siddle batting 9, and really he's probably number 11 nowadays. So it was 3, 9, 10 jacks.
Yes.
And, Popey was just too good. And, it was an awesome atmosphere of a couple hundred people.
Yep. Good to see South Australia obviously back on the winners list. But I think the want, will, desire and grit seems to be with South Australia this year, which is something that we've talked about previously in previous episodes, that, the collapse comes and you're sort of expecting a little bit. I'm not there now.
No.
I'm sort of thinking that there is a little bit of grit and determination now to hang about when needed.
And even how well we fielded this game. We fielded really well overall this game.
Yep.
Look, you lose Carey after this game, and he's been our best batsman so far, obviously.
Yep.
So lose Cares. Harry Nielsen will come into the side. Look, he's been batting really well for West Torrens, so hopefully he's in good nick, so hopefully that'll happen.
Well, I suppose if you are in form, you're going to get rewarded with opportunity. There are a few players that are probably in that category that when the national players come back, they're still fighting for their spot. So it's pretty important, isn't it?
There's a bit of irony with this game that Jake Lehman was a controversial selection. Mm-hmm. He was lucky to hold his spot.
Yep.
I've got to be honest, it was hilarious in the second innings. He was that nervous and told you. I've never seen Jake like that. I did say to Rhino at the lunch break, go give him a double scotch, will you?
Yep, calm him down.
So was Jake's better half, and it was amusing to watch that. Mm-hmm. But then he's got on and made 60. Now, I think it was method there of him playing this game that he needed to get some runs, because if McSween gets picked in the test side, which I think he will,
yes,
I think Jake Lehman ends up captaining again.
Right.
So I think there was some method there as well. I think Rhino, there was some forward planning. Yeah. So in that way, and look, I think it's also pleasant that it's the first time in a long, long time that we've recruited players from interstate, but we're making them earn their spot. Mm-hmm. Where previously, Jake Gardner played his first game for South Australia without playing a district game.
Yep.
Where at the moment, no, Jason Sanger and Mackenzie Harvey are being made to earn their spot. Mm-hmm. Now, Mackenzie Harvey will definitely play tomorrow. I think Jason Sanger might. It's a bit hard looking at the squad of 13.
Yes.
But they're both a big chance to play tomorrow. So
let's talk about that now. South Australia obviously playing. Is it still a Marsh Cup or a one dayer? A one dayer at Karen Rolton tomorrow, 10:05 a.m. So the audio side of our podcast will go out early in the morning. Our video one goes out a little bit later in the day.
Yep.
What are you expecting from? As you said, there's a group of 13. Who's maybe the unlucky one to miss out, and where is everybody sitting in that side considering?
I think it'll be one or two of the bowlers. They've named a lot of bowlers.
Right.
So I think it'll be one or two of the bowlers. They may be waiting to see, out of Harry Conway and Henry Thornton, who pulls up the best, that side of things. So I think that's probably why they've done that, and that makes sense.
Yep.
So I admit, I am looking forward tomorrow that Sam Elliott, brilliantly coached in grade 5 when he was at PAC, will be playing for Victoria, and at least Mum, Meg, and hopefully Dad, Matty, are coming over tomorrow. So looking forward to catching up with the Elliott clan tomorrow.
I'm assuming he's acquired all of his skills under your expert
tutelage. There's no doubt
tutelage.
about that whatsoever, I would have thought.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Karen Rolton Oval being used, is that a bit of a surprise that they didn't use the Adelaide Oval after obviously it got used for the last couple of days?
Yeah, then you've got the one day here on Friday, so they probably
wanted to give it a little bit of a rest. No, that's fine.
Yeah. I actually admit I prefer playing at Karen Rolton.
Yeah.
I think the atmosphere there is far better than Adelaide Oval. Is just too big, too sparse.
Yep.
And that's my own thoughts.
And you can bring your own deck chair to Karen Rolton and sit around the edge and enjoy it for what it is. Let's go back to the Sheffield Shield. We play New South Wales on the 14th to the 17th of November. Is it good to get these sort of matches in nice and early before Christmas?
Yeah, I think so. At the moment when there's a bit of momentum as well and there's a bit of depth and that side of things. Look, Harry Minenti had struggled so far in terms of it, and then he took 5 from the first innings.
Yes.
It's easily the best I've seen him bowl.
Yep.
Never been a doubt on his fielding. He's probably. I think the comment that he is our best slip fielder in Australia is pretty accurate.
Yep. And he batted okay too.
Yeah, he batted well the last couple of years, but I've always thought, hang on, it's a bit ridiculous that he effectively is playing as a batsman at 8.
Yep.
This is the first rule game where he contributed heavily with the ball.
Yep.
So that's encouraging.
Do you see that being a little bit of Rhino's influence as far as, being a stock bowler like that and can impart some knowledge onto him to go, look, we need to get you from here to here?
Not really sure. I think this game with Buckingham, McAndrew, Wes Agar is injured. He's got a hip problem, which he's got arthritis in his hip's a bit of a worry. Mm-hmm. Trying to think the other bowler, and Spencer Johnson's still coming back.
Yep.
So it was really a threadbare bowling attack on paper.
Yes.
So I think he sort of had to get more bowling this game just by necessity.
Yep.
And he delivered. Like Victoria were none for 59.
Yep.
And they really didn't look like losing a wicket. We're saying, geez, this is going to be a long day.
Yep.
Then half an hour after lunch, they were 4 for, and really probably should have been 5 for. There was a LB given not out off Menenti, would have made them 5 for 67. So, yeah, all of a sudden just delivered and away we went. So, yeah, really encouraging.
Like you said a little bit earlier, good case of ticking the box of all played well, all did their job, all
Every
contributed.
player contributed. Okay, Drewy got 23 in both innings, so he got starts and then got out.
Yep.
Look, he did get a ball in the second innings, just exploded off a length. I think he got one and Karasinga for Vic got one yesterday, which these things happen.
Well, it happens,
So I think Drew was a little bit unlucky and he was hitting them pretty well. So hopefully there's a big score around the corner for Daniel.
Where do you see someone like Jake Fraser McGurk fitting into this lineup? Is it a case of he'll still need to earn his spot?
Massively. He's played. He's yet to make a run. You know, I think he's Norton. I'm trying to remember if he's had another game and failed as well or not. But look,
is he going to But is he going to benefit? And you talked about Jake Lehman just a minute ago in just getting that extra game that has just helped him build a little bit of confidence. Is it a case that he maybe needs one more, or does he go back, get some runs, and then?
I think at the moment he's got to develop a game plan, and it's just built at the moment. It's just built shit out of the ball. Now, he's got to learn to play himself in. I know he's giving a free license in the one days, but you've lost one early last night. We're only chasing 203, the 50 overs.
Yep.
Rein it back, but he didn't, and it was just a smash and grab, almost lucky 16. And
is he one of those players that will get you 120 off of some ridiculous number of balls, and then he'll be the same player that will get you 6 off of 3 balls or something like that?
He's just got a bit smarter. I think he's actually a reasonably complex cat.
Yep.
If I'm being honest,
okay.
I think.
But I think that's in most sports these days. You've got to cater for those slight variations of where people are a bit like that.
He's yet to show in a Shield game.
Yep.
Batting, Shield, cricket, play yourself in, work it around. Yes, get a bad ball, put it away. That's fine.
Yep.
But all he's done so far is try and belt shit out of the ball. Like his first Shield game, it hit him well. Like he was 35 off about 18 or 19.
Yep.
Gets caught on the long on boundary the last over before lunch when we were 5 for. It was just so dumb.
Mm-hmm. So is that a case of teams working him out and going, we'll give him something to have a little bit of a nibble at, and generally they're going to come out on top? Yeah,
I think at the moment let's put it this way, he's regarded within cricket circles that he's got ability, that yes, he can play some freakish shots, but not respected within cricket for the cricketing side of things.
Yep.
There's a hell of a lot. He's 22, I think, going on 15 in terms of that side of things. So there's a lot of growing up to do. And he's got to work a game out. Otherwise, he's just going to end up on the 2020 circuit. Now, look, if he gets on the 2020 circuit for a couple of years and he plays a freakish innings and keeps a contract, well, guess what? He's earning an obscene amount of money as it is. But does he want a bit more out of that in the game? I'm not sure.
Where do you see Sheffield Shield sitting in the scheme of things for him then? Now, a question without notice, because obviously you've just talked about it there, going...
I know he was disappointed he wasn't picked, but I think he might be he's not being honest with himself in looking at that. No, he shouldn't have been picked.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully there's a bit of growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, see what happens.
Time will tell on that one, and I trust Rhino, who will be right on top of that.
Oh, look, and he's playing at West Torrens.
Yep.
So Mark Harrity, Sam Ellicott, the Ellicotts really well respected.
That mentoring is right there with him.
So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk Test cricket. The opening spot is still up for grabs. Are we any closer to knowing who it is? You sort of mentioned McSweeney there at the top of the show. I'm sort of leaning a little bit that way, but does Australia really know yet?
I don't think they do. I think at the moment he's favourite, put it that way. Whether him and Khawaja are a good mix together because they're both more grafters is debatable. But look, I also would think behind the scenes that I would hope the Australian selectors are going, well, it'd be good if we can get him in the side because realistically, he may end up being the next Australian captain if he's in the side now.
Yep.
Because 3 years' time out of that, because he's extremely highly regarded for leadership. You only have to have a look at that he's automatically made captain of Australia A. He was made captain of the Brisbane Heat last year, that side of things.
Yep.
So he is a leader.
He's got the temperament to be able to be that
massively,
leader.
Massively.
So obviously for the Australia A v India game there, and we'll talk about some of that game in a minute, were you surprised that he did bat down the order? Or was it a case of this was already pre-planned?
Yeah, I think so. Look, there's 4 names there. One of them was going to bat 3, one was going to bat 4.
Yep.
Now, whether he should have batted 3 instead of Bancroft, you can probably debate that because I don't think Bancroft was ever going to. Yeah.
Yep.
Bancroft slipped away so far.
But where do you see Bancroft sitting in the scheme of things?
Oh, I think he's way back, personally.
Yep, so he's gone to the back of the pack?
Yeah, I think he's at the back. I think it'll either be Harris, McSweeney, with Inglis as an outside chance. Inglis would be the bolter, and I hope they don't go that way. I don't think he should open, but they may go, well, hang on, is Inglis the future Dave Warner? Get out there, play shots from ball 1. I wouldn't do that, but let's wait and see. I think they're the 3 names.
Okay, and Constas?
I think he's probably slipped a little bit further back too from this game. Big game, another game coming up. If someone gets 100 this game, then they're right back in it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Do you give the young fella a bit of a chance against India, or do you hold off on not bringing him in for such an important series? But then you've got to look forward. We talked about forward planning.
Oh,
you've got the Ashes coming up.
I think there's that point, and that point I totally get it. Like I was saying last week, I'd go Constas, but I think McSweeney's earned the right. I think McSweeney's made enough runs in the last season and now the start of this season. Like he did get 300s last year as well.
Yep.
So I think he's earned the right.
Yep.
You know, so and he's had enough experience.
Yeah, agreed. Before we move on for any further, the Australia A and India A game, there was a bit of controversy with scratching the ball or some sort of incident with the ball. What are your thoughts on that and where the umpire sits in this situation as to his call? Because he was very definitive that if the ball's scratched up, I'm changing it.
Exactly. No, I support Sean Craig in that way, but it's probably a little bit interesting that as soon as there's a wicket fall, the ball goes to the umpire. The ball gets hit for 4 and goes over the fence, it goes back to the umpire. So I'm a bit buggered how it's suddenly been missed.
Yes.
So that's probably a dark mark against the umpiring there. And I think Sean... And I reckon you could tell he was a little bit defensive in the way he was
being
acting
approached
about it. So out of that, but the keeper should be suspended. If they don't take action, it's yet again, in reality, they're scared shitless of India as usual.
India Cricket Board have basically swept it under the carpet a little bit.
Oh, not so much India. They should be taking action, but I think they're just scared of India.
Yep. Is that because of the
78
cents of every dollar is coming out of India?
It's how much power they've got in world cricket is ridiculous.
How?
But I don't think there's any remedy to that.
Well, I was about to say, question about notice. How do we sort of somehow fix that?
You don't.
Yeah. So then where do we see ourselves? And I actually was going to bring this up a little bit later, but I'll bring it up now, is this a changing of the guard for Australian cricket? And what if crowds, again, don't show up to games? I know we're playing in India and England, which you'd expect that crowds will come.
They will.
But what if they don't as much as they are anticipating?
I can't see that not happening purely because of the population which will come from England and India. Now, let's remember, they couldn't come because of COVID and all that side of things. So there's a lot of people who will be here. It showed last night, the Pakistan game. There seemed to be more support for Pakistan. And Ferg made that point commentating.
But this is why I'm asking that, is that Australian crowds, not talking crowds in total, because I know they'll turn up, but Australian crowds, what if Australia's crowds are smaller than anticipated?
Yeah, I think they'll still be okay. But I tell you what, they've got to get their head out their backside about the prices. Now, they're pricing things out of people's reach. And we will cover that right at the end.
Yep, we've got the rulebook rant coming up.
I'm not happy.
I know you're ready to tee off on that one there. Changing the guard of Australian cricket, you talked earlier on that McSweeney could be the next Australian captain in 3 or 4 years' time. Steve Smith, Khawaja, Labuschagne. there's going to be a real hole there, isn't there?
There's going to be a change in the guard. That's where Constas comes in. Who knows?
Now,
who else
India
will
is
come
sort of
through.
going through that a
Yes,
little bit at the moment, aren't
I don't
they?
think there's any doubt about that. Wright Sharma and Kohli are both struggling. Wright Sharma doesn't play that. He's missing the first test, so it'll be interesting to see what India. I don't think we know what India will do there yet.
Yep.
So,
It's going to be an interesting one there. And the last one on Test cricket, mate. Are we playing too much cricket and has the novelty worn off? Once upon a time, it was the hottest ticket in town. Not in Adelaide, because we know that Adelaide crowds are going to turn up, rain, hail or shine, day, night, Sunday afternoon, Thursday through Sunday, Thursday through Monday, whatever the schedule sort of says. But is there a little bit too much cricket going on that it has lost a little bit of its novelty value? Or has become a novelty?
I think so, in terms of because there's so much big bash played and all that. And that again adds to the point, which again at the end, where the administrators have got their head in their backside about Shield cricket.
Yep.
Where that fits in.
Yep. It's going to be interesting there. All right, let's move on to local cricket. Which round of the Premier League has been completed? Is it round 2?
Yeah. Yep.
I thought it might be, but I just wanted to double check. Obviously, Premier 1, Sturt sitting top of the table with West Torrens and Teatree Gully.
And Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide.
So, top 4.
So only percentage, basically.
It's too early to call yet.
Yep.
Uni are on the bottom at the moment, which is a bit, a bit disappointing so far. But it's showing it's been close. Probably the disappointing game on Saturday was Adelaide were bowled out for 50, and Teatree Gully were struggling. They were 1 for 244 in reply.
Ouch.
So, it wasn't exactly a cliffhanger.
Yep.
So you'd expect that they'll win out that game outright this week. Sturt have just been doing the job consistently.
Did they come up from 1 last year? They've made the jump and then the jump again.
Yeah, but look,
I know it's early days.
it was early days to go down. They were a better side than that. They never should have got relegated.
Yep.
Corey Kelly, TK's twin brother,
yes,
did have his captaincy debut this game with Tom being in the Shield side, and did muck around with him. That pretty easy job. This, too easy to CK. So, but yeah, they're gonna be around the mark. Look, West Torrens against Kensington was. West Torrens only got 230 odd. I haven't got the scores in front of me.
Yep.
But Spencer Johnson came through. Spencer Johnson playing for West Torrens blasted through on the second day to get them bowled out. And I think he took.
Yep. No, that's fine.
Sure.
And
he
Port
took 5 or 6.
Yep. And Port Adelaide obviously being around the mark for a few years now. Still sort of sniffing around that top part of the ladder?
Oh, look, Tom Andrews is their key player. He made 100 on Saturday against Uni. He virtually won the game himself on the weekend. There was a big LB appeal when he was on naught, given not out. And the guy said it was close. There wasn't a real dummy spit about it.
Yep.
It was close. And he just said he just had the game totally in control from there. So, Sturt, just comfortably, just chased it down. It was a slow scoring game, but Sturt 3 for 147 defeated Glenelg 104. West Torrens 204, and then Kenzie would get reasonably, but then Spencer came through and blasted through to bowl Kenzie out for 178, of which Spencer was 5 for 31.
Okay,
so
he did all the damage
just
there.
Again, easy game. Adelaide Uni made 256, but Port Cruise passed them 4 for 257.
Yep.
Now, Teatree Gully declared, as we said, at 5 for 284. Yes, they did lose outright. So 50 and 197. So yes, Teatree Gully did win that game outright. So for Teatree Gully in their first innings, Luke Holman made 159 with 22 fours and 3 sixes. So he didn't worry about running much.
Nope, and it was just the day to do it. It was a bit of an odd day on Saturday. You sort of got that breeze that was swirling a bit overcast, but it looks like a few players dealt with it very, very handily. Premier 2, East Torrens, and the under-19s sitting top of
East
table.
Torrens cruised, none for 148, chasing Southern Districts 147, of which Josh Barrett, who'd come from Southern Districts when they got relegated to East Torrens last year.
Yes.
Then East Torrens went down, made 107 not out against his old side off 89 balls.
Isn't it funny how players get that opportunity
he's a
against
good
their
player.
old club?
He is a good player.
They generally do okay, don't they?
But Woodville chased down Prospects and Northern Districts. Northern Districts defeated the Sacker under 19s.
You surprised the under 19s at the moment are up and about and around the mark?
They've been a bit better than last year. Probably Matty Laray's captaining and probably just a bit of a mature head. Look, I think he'll end up getting picked up in the draft. But yeah, and Kane Halfpenny played last year.
AFL?
And Tom Brown, yes.
AFL draft,
yes. And Tom Brown played last year as well. So they've probably got a little bit more experience this year. So, yeah.
So does that something that Ryan has sort of somewhat input into as to how they want them to play so that way when it is time to step up to that next level that they're around the mark? Or is this a little bit separated?
Yeah, I think it is more separated.
Okay.
I don't know if Rhino's having that much. I might ask him that.
Yep.
Yeah, and Albury Stockdale took 8 for 38 for Northern Districts was the other outstanding.
Absolutely.
For the round.
Sounds very good, mate. Women's first grade, Kensington sitting top of the table, Glenelg, Sturt, West Torrens and Adelaide. Scores, have you got any scores on those ones there? No problem. But Kenzie sort of making their opportunities, I suppose, not only in the men's but in the women's as well, which has always been a strong club from what I'm led to believe.
It is. This is, I've got to go there. I was going the wrong spot, so now I'm right.
No, all good.
So what have we got? We've got the women's first grade. And Sturt, 10 for 279, defeated West Torrens 157. In that game for Sturt, they just reasonably even contribution over the batting with, Elizabeth Worthley 55, Maddie Filkey 49, Samantha Bett 66, and made a Matilda Maitland 54. So they just are the top four, just being a bit too good for West Torrens there.
Yep.
Sanvi Shah made 48 for West Torrens. So yeah, that's a bit too good there. Adelaide 10 for 114. Glenelg were 167. For Glenelg, Ella Wilson was a star there with 80.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quickly having a look at the good to see Ava Girth, Jason Girth's daughter from when Paynham. So I go right back to when Ava, and I called her Ava Rent-A-Car.
Yes.
Was my nickname I gave her.
Yep.
And she still remembers that.
Yep.
So she took 2 for 19 and Kelly Armstrong 4 for 27 in that. And for Adelaide, Alona, Melega 39 and Ava Girth with 22 were the things there. So Ava Girth's a bit unlucky to miss the team of the week, actually.
Yes.
I didn't notice that.
And we do apologise on
had the bye.
Yeah, and we do apologise on names. Sometimes they're a little bit of a tongue twister even for us.
Easy. Yep.
No, that's all right. Were you surprised that Glenelg are not up there in the men's? They sort of dominated a little bit last year.
It's only early,
Yep.
so there's plenty of time. But also the other thing too, Glenelg, McSweeney, Conway, Doggett. So they had I think it was 2 others. So they had a few out. Sort of all represented a bit of everywhere.
Yep.
So Alex Carey, obviously, not that he plays for Glenelg very often.
Yep.
But yeah, that side of things. So
Excellent.
All spread around.
All right, let's take a very, very quick break. Coming up, we've got Adelaide getting the job done against Geelong to secure a first qualifying final. Second qualifying final. Port Adelaide qualify for their first ever finals appearance with an elimination final against Richmond. And the Adelaide 36ers find it tough going on the road to the New Zealand Breakers.
You're listening listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to buy or sell your home anywhere in Adelaide, from the hills to the sea? Meet Gary KRIEVS, your dedicated local agent from OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. With unparalleled knowledge of Adelaide's housing market and a commitment to exceptional service, Gary ensures a smooth and stress-free experience for all your real estate needs. Trust the expert, trust Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. Your next dream home awaits. Contact Gary today on 0422 071 317 or on email garyk@ocre.com.au. And for more listings, please visit owenscasserly.com.au. Make it happen. And as per usual, we thank our sponsors there. If you're looking to sell a house or buy a house, please contact Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY. All right, let's move on, mate. AFL, it's still on the radar a little bit. Let's talk the men's to start with. Brother of Crow's gun, hoping to get drafted by the Crows, and that's Jack Michaelani. We did talk a little bit about Jack a little while ago, but now he's back on the radar because it's draft time.
Yeah,
Do you see him getting picked up?
I think he's more a chance to be rookie listed. He's an outside chance to be rookie listed, I think. I think he might. Look, they might see in Max, well, how good Max has been. Can we get the improvement out of Jack? But I think he's at 50-50 at best.
Okay, for this year?
Yep.
Next year?
Yeah, look, they might get him as a top-up player at the Crows, or whether they decide to do that like they've done with Ned Atkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I said, very frustrating personally as an SNFL man what they're doing.
Yep, we sort of knew that there would be ramifications with Adelaide and Port Adelaide getting the concessions put back on the table, I suppose, as to who they recruit. I did sort of put on the run sheet a little bit later, but we'll talk about it now. SNFL clubs are not going to be happy about what's happening now. I mean, poor old Centrals are being basically gutted with their best player. Port Adelaide used it to their advantage this year with Logan Evans, and he went on and obviously performed.
I've got no problem with that, but he shouldn't have been a Port player.
Yep.
And who's to say if he'd been it helped Logan. I get that, but he shouldn't have been a Port player. If he's still a Nord player, he mightn't have got picked up. He might have been a premiership player at Nord instead.
Yep.
You know, I'm shaking my head a bit.
Yep.
I get it. I do truly get it, and there's a lot of SNFL people don't get it, that it's bloody vital to keep him. There's people who still don't get that, but the day they leave is the day we're massively closer to it becoming Div 1 community footy.
Yep.
You know? And look, they need the money. They don't only need the money, they need the promotion of them still being in it. So I get that. You know, we will still try and chase up Greg Edwards and that side of things, but I think it's just gone too far personally. I think they didn't look at it and go, shit, it's actually a bit too much. And because look, at the moment, purely the fact Porter picked up Jez McClellan, he's a huge recruit for any club to have got.
Yep.
Now, if Port and the Crows get very few injuries, good luck competing with them. You know, I think it'll be Port, Crows, and Glenelg as the three sides. So, you know.
Well, let's go down that rabbit hole for another minute or two, mate. What is going to happen if, say, Port Adelaide or the Crows do win an SNFL flag because of these concessions?
I think there'll be a fair bit of revolt amongst supporters. I think clubs will then kick up a stink. Look, and as we said, the annoying part of the concessions is, look, they've made 3 or 4 grand finals during this whole time, and prelim finals. I just think there was a massive overreaction to Port struggling this year, and they'd had a lot of injuries. I just think I think it's just gone way, way overboard. And look, I think Kosh bluffed them out of it. To his credit, I think they shit themselves.
So I don't want to say Port Adelaide mismanaged their list, but in some ways they did.
Oh yeah.
And because of injuries and the mismanagement, made it look 10 times worse than what it was. Does that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And look, I think they're also unlucky. And look, I don't get it to a couple of things. I'm mystified that they've delisted Tom Scully in terms of you make the decision to pick up a tall kid.
Yes.
Well, he's only 19. We know tall kids take so long to develop.
Well,
and
they hit their peak at 24, 25.
And that's Brenton Phillips. That's Stix's comment. And look,
Yep.
I got with Stix's roles with the SNFL in terms of that.
Yep.
Either have the anti-density rule everywhere or not at all. Like, it's hard enough deciding which kids to draft. Well, he's playing under a totally different system.
Yep.
And at 6'8", of course he was going to outmark the other defender.
Yep.
The one person who could stand him.
So, and I brought this up a couple of times over the course of the season, and it's my biggest bugbear. Do we go back to what it was 20, 25 years ago, where it was one rule for every league? Yes, you might make slight variations for, say, the AFLW, because it's a slightly different game. But other than that, same rules for everybody, whether it's local community football at under 12s. I won't say under 10s, because generally that's a little bit less contact, but say under 12s right through to the AFL.
Or you have it so Port and the Crows compete with these concessions but don't play finals. That's the other one as well.
Yeah, but then you're doing it the other way as well, aren't you? You're sort of convoluting the system, aren't you?
You are, but at least you make it so that if you beat them, you get the points, but they become null and void effectively if you lose in terms of that way. So you're still getting the benefit of winning.
Yep.
Look, I see that point where at least it means they're not going to win a flag. And I'm sorry, neither team deserves it after what they've done. And Port applied the holier than now attitude on it. They took off Scott Lycett when he was BOG at three-quarter time in a cliffhanger in the elimination final.
Yep.
Purely to rest him to play AFL the next week, which I actually think was a dumb decision because he needed the workload.
I agree.
So not only was it
Well,
it was stupid as well.
And then 6 months later, he's gone anyway.
Yeah, but I get it. You're concentrating on the AFL, but don't play the holier than now that we're the club to exist to win premierships and all that bullshit when you do things like that.
Yep. It's certainly a rabbit hole that we could go down for quite some time there, but let's. It's unusually quiet for the AFL at the moment. Normally we get 366 days a year and everything's all in the news, but we haven't really heard too much from the AFL in the last.
Oh, there's still a fair bit on the draft out.
Yeah,
there's still stuff,
but it's not as big a noise as possible.
As
much as possible.
You've still got so.
Yep.
And in terms of the AFLW, look, Adelaide were average against Geelong. Geelong looked, at half time like they're going to. But then Adelaide upped the tempo a bit, were a bit better, but, geez, there's still some weaknesses. Mm-hmm. They lack a crumbing forward. That's their biggest weakness by a long way.
Yep.
Still the same thing, my gripe with Ebony Marinoff running to spots. Oh.
So someone like Jess Waterhouse, that kind of person?
I just don't think she's good. She'd play it. They gave her a chance, and she really struggled early on. But
she is that buzzing forward.
Yeah, but just it's not one grab. Well, same thing as Martin. It's just not one grab. It's not clean.
Yep.
It's just an honest battler.
Yep.
Now, you've also got to remember that at the start, Adelaide had that moratorium of the girls here. So previously, the good girls had come through like a window and a Shoals, would have been playing for Adelaide. Mm-hmm. Now they're at Port. All of a sudden, Adelaide's actually just got some battlers playing as well. Well, they didn't have that. You go back to that grand final here where they annihilated Carlton. Mm-hmm. Geez, they had way more depth than what they've got now.
Yep.
So there's that side of it. My beef is the players who've played all the time, still not. It's still see ball, chase ball, and like little bees on a honey pot. It's like a mini league game where little kids just chase the ball. There's still a lack of footy now to work out, to run, to create space, shepherd, and that side of things. That's my big beef.
Is the byproduct of that you're talking about there, with the competition expanding the way it did?
I did. It's grown too quick, and then playing the game massively, massively, and playing and trying to cram it in. So you've got the girls playing three games in 7 days, that side of things. So they're tired. So all that's done is make more scrimmage, and that. So it's really made the product worse this year. Like there's a lot of people now going troppo about the product. Well, the AFLW and the AFL, yet again, the Laura Kane era.
Well, that could be coming to an end. There was a little
Oh.
bit of a rumour going around today that Laura Kane might be heading over to Tabcorp. So
We can only hope for the good of the game.
well, let's talk.
She's just out of her depth.
Let's just talk about the AFLW for a moment. And there's been finally there's been some people stomping up and down going it needs to change. Will we go back to where it was when it first started? Because we've talked about it ad nauseum. That is probably the ideal time slot.
Of course it is.
As far as it's a nice lead into the AFL season, it just sort of gets everybody in it. Yes, the weather's a little bit warmer, but play more night games.
Yeah, and look.
Double headers.
There may be another administrator we're trying to get on who totally agrees with that as well. We just got to wait and see on that. But that's what should happen.
Yep.
But I don't think that will. I still think they're being too pig-headed about it. They just should admit that was the best model. Let's go back to the best model.
Yep. Well, we've tried now 2 or 3 different iterations.
It's easily the best one. As we said, 8,667 games of the Big Bash. The tennis is finished. You're ready for footy.
Yep.
It's honestly easily the best time.
And at the moment, you've got clubs that are still there, if that makes sense.
We're over footy at the moment.
Yes. So at least at that time of the year, you're into your men's pre-season, which means you've got obviously more people around the club. You've got more trainers available. Everybody's available. Once the season finishes, let it stop. Let the administrators do the draft and the rookies and all that kind of jazz.
We're going over old territory, what we said. You don't end the main movie and then start the matinee.
Yep.
Over and out.
No, fair enough. All right. Port Adelaide, congratulations go there. They are still, at the moment, on a bit of a hot streak and will now play an elimination final against Richmond at Alberton. I think that's a big thing for Port Adelaide, isn't it?
Was there on Sunday for
Yes.
Craig Martin's
Yes.
50th upstairs. Happy birthday, Craig.
My apologies there. I was participating in a state event.
And look, it was to that. GWS looked the better side all game.
Yep.
They looked way the better side. Port just hang on.
Yep.
And then the crowd, I will say, to Port Adelaide's credit, the crowd was way more up and about than what it is in an Adelaide game. I think the fact that Adelaide have been around that bit longer, that it's lost that initial edge.
Yep.
They reminded me what Adelaide were at about year 3 or 4 in terms of the crowd involved. And look, the numbers there were very good.
Yep.
I'm driving. I was driving from Adelaide Oval. I'm thinking it'll just be like a normal SANFL game nowadays. I know exactly where I'll park.
Yep.
Pig's ass.
Yep.
It took me about 20 minutes to find a park.
Yep. Back like the old days at Alberton.
Yeah, it was. And they did actually had people parking in the middle of the road and that side of things. So it was. I think there was 3.5 there.
Yep.
So it was a good crowd.
So Port Adelaide being at Alberton, we know it's the spiritual home of Port Adelaide, whether it be the Power or the Magpies. Do you see with Adelaide sort of chopping and changing a little bit between Nord Oval and Sturt, they've probably lost a little bit of that? Or is it purely that it's Port Adelaide and it's Alberton?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think that's probably a fair point. It's also the bit, Alberton's new where they've done the development and that's where we were. And look, they've done a very good job. So there's that side of it a bit as well. So probably people are actually just going along to have a look.
Yep. And they've got the temporary stands there on the eastern wing.
Yeah, so there's things there that people, I think that's a bit of an attraction. And probably, Nord, you've got the Wolf Blass Centre, but that was probably more an attraction for Nord supporters, not so much Crows people.
Yep.
So it is probably a little bit different. Yeah.
And then obviously chopping and changing, like I said, between Sturt and Nord. Both clubs do a fantastic job, but, maybe getting to Nord can sometimes be a little bit more difficult and sometimes getting to Unley can be a little bit more difficult depending on, whether you're a Crow supporter or not. Good luck to Adelaide, who are now taking on North Melbourne, who did not lose a game in the minor rounds. Let's go through some of the tips.
North Melbourne, pretty easily, I think.
I think it's going to be close, but I'm probably going to tip North Melbourne as well. The Dockers taking on Essendon.
I'll go the Dockers.
Dockers for me there at home. The Hawks and Hawthorn in the men's and the women's. Now the McClellan Trophy.
Yeah, which is interesting because you would have thought it would have been Brisbane. So, I admit I meant to have a look through that point system just to try and get a bit more of a gauge of it, how it was Hawthorn, not Brisbane. So I'm a little bit confused there. So I want to have a look at that.
Could be a case of...
I think it might end at the minor round, so that made it... so that made it, despite the fact Brisbane won the flag, they don't get that side of it. So that was probably the little bit.
And Hawthorn finished second on the ladder in the women's, and Brisbane finished third. So
so it was close.
It was very, very close. Yeah. Congratulations, obviously, go to them. Extra $1 million in the budget certainly would help. I know that they're doing some renovations at the moment, so I'm sure that'll be well spent. Hawthorn or Brisbane for you, mate?
I'll go Brisbane.
I'm going to go Brisbane as well. Hardened final side, probably where it's at, but don't discount the youthful enthusiasm from Hawthorn as well. And then the last game, Port Adelaide v Richmond at Alberton.
I'm going to go Richmond. I just think they're probably a little bit more developed and a little bit to Port's credit, they managed to win on Sunday without playing well. So that's probably a good sign. Mm-hmm. Whether they get a couple back as well, I wouldn't mind seeing the sides. At the moment, I'll go Richmond, but I wouldn't be surprised either way, obviously.
Bet responsibly, but at the moment, the bookies have got Richmond at $1.47 and Port Adelaide at $2.62. So you'd sort of guess that most people are leaning that way, but I can't discount Port Adelaide at Alberton, though.
No,
just
exactly.
That spiritual...
And they manage, and they'll get a good crowd there and all that side of things. So, yeah, look, if they stick at it, which I'm sure they will, and manage to get the breaks, go their way like it did at Sunday, they're right in it.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting one. I hope for South Australia's sake, both teams get up and win. But I reckon the Roos might just pip the Crows, and I reckon Richmond might just get Port Adelaide, but it's going to be very, very close. All right, let's move on to basketball. New Zealand Breakers take the 36ers down a peg or two after a big loss on the road.
Yeah, let's look at this a little bit logically too. So New Zealand played and won their first couple pretty easily. Then they went to a trip to America. That's why the premiership table's so skew with.
Yep.
Then they get back, big flight back, all that. Maybe it's jet lag, maybe it's the down, a bit of a down after that. Mm-hmm. And now they're back again. So they're at the moment they look probably the best side. So you can see why that happened that way. So, but I've always too thought basketball. I do take the home records because I do reckon the refereeing favours the home sides in general in basketball.
Is that because the crowd's maybe a little closer to the court?
Yeah, I think it's
maybe
who they are. Yeah, I think it's an area in basketball which, it's probably questionable.
Absolutely.
Leave it at that.
Adelaide going down 33-19 in the first quarter. I think that's where most of the damage was. Also, just looking at some statistics here, unfortunately, their field goal percentage was only at 46%, whereas the opposition was at 60. So that's where it's won and lost in most games, and it just looked like we were a step behind the pace, and New Zealand were a step above the pace. So, and Adelaide got a bit of work to do.
Yep, very much so.
Adelaide playing a game this, Sunday the 10th of November, 4 p.m. at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre against the Hawks. So, good luck to the 36ers there. Couple of tough games coming up. The Hawks are sitting second, and I think Melbourne are sitting third, and they play them over the next couple of weeks, and Adelaide is sitting fifth at the moment. So it's going to be mighty interesting to see how that all...
They need to split the next fortnight.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. All right, mate, let's take a little break and see what's coming up. On Friday, Scott BORLACE Part 2. Really looking forward to that.
Go the BORLACE.
And on Monday, an encore edition of Past Players and Past Legends, Anthony Harvey, Part 2.
Thank you, Sir Anthony.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
Flashbacks.
All right, and as per usual, we thank Roger Steen and Craig Steen there. And like you said there, you need to give them a bit of a call, I'm assuming, to fix up that bumper from last week, the highs and the lows of life at the moment, mate. All right.
Still shaking my head, Mr.
It's all good. All right, in flashbacks this week, considering South Australia had a big victory in the cricket, we thought we'd have a little bit of fun here and play the South Australian v Victoria 1994 State of Origin. Some absolute legends running around there, mate.
Yep, so well and truly. Love those games.
Absolutely. All right, sit back, enjoy, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about it afterwards. Let's see how we go here.
To go down the ground. It's kicked the half forward. Marcus taken by Reed, not paid. Umpire's thrown the whistle away. Platten tackle. He's got the football. And the umpire will call for a bounce on the back end of the square in South Australia's attacking half.
They've really got to hold this up now. They can play possession football, and let's hope the time ticks away for them. The Victorians have just got to attack.
Danny Frawley a chance. Goes wide. Very wide. McKay can't take. Yes, a great mark in that situation by the boy from Lucendale. And the South Australian fans are pretty happy with that. He gets the hand pass to Jamison. Jamison goes down the ground with an awful kick. Possession important here. Craig Scholl, well done. Plays it to his own advantage. Good pressure applied by Tapler, but Scholl gets back onto the right foot. Kicks Victoria back into their attacking half. Up to centre half forward. Wanganeen went without it. South Australia with the numbers hocking over the top. And it'll be a ball up. Gee, Scholl was good, wasn't he? If he'd gone to ground, the game was gone. All over. Victoria trail by 2 points in a thriller in the State of Origin. Rashudo's kick. Scholl running his heart out. Will it stay in? South Australian fans scream for it to go out. Scholl squeezes it towards the 50. Mercury taken by Knockbaugh. Mercury punches it forward. Still the mix go forward. It's at the 50 and it's going to be a ball up again.
It's not a place for faint hearts out there at the moment. They're going, a lot of them.
What a game. Inside the last 3/4 of a minute. The next play, the all-important. Hocking. Can he get the handball? A chance for Grant. Grant goes for goal. A high ball to full forward. Adlet's there. Adlet's with a chance. Left foot by Adlet. It's a free kick.
Yeah, South Australian free kick, I think.
And there's no doubt the free kick was there. Player being held. So the free kick coming back. Look at Teddy Whitten. He can't believe it. Tingay goes. 15 seconds remaining. This could be the big play for the night. Jamison forces it out. And South Australia have 8 seconds to hang on. 11-9 to 10-13. We've had a couple of 4-point State of Origin matches. This is the closest ever between the two. Steins' left-hand handball off the ground. Burke's quick kick. Too late for the Vics. Takes it to the second attempt.
Extra time. Big finish.
Breaking news, Pete.
Oh,
Quick, an umpire who paid a free in the last 30 seconds Shit, there's finally the whistle's gone. It's a free kick to Bain and Lowe. Race back to Adelaide Oval, everyone.
Absolutely love it, mate. Classic memories there from 1994. Ablett giving away that free kick late in the game. Sort of manhandled him a little bit and almost sort of said, "What did I do?" But you're right, the umpire actually blew the whistle on this occasion. And, some very, very good players that were amongst that. And one of the all-time classics as far as State of Origin goes. We sort of miss it, don't we?
Oh, it was. The atmosphere was huge that night. It was literally electric atmosphere. It was fantastic.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the extra time big finish. Tennis. Once again, Australians having a positive finish to the season, but South Aussie Tanasi Kokonakis wins a Sydney Challenger event.
Yeah, promising there with, just a good see some wins in title. Yes, it's a lesser title, but at least it's a stepping stone. It's a step in the right direction.
Yep. Played here in Adelaide last week or the week before. Went okay, but didn't set the world on fire, so he really backed it up. I think he won this final actually 6-1, 6-1, so found his form. But his opponent on this occasion in Sydney was Rinky Hijikata, who's had a huge 2 weeks. He won the Adelaide International at Playford as well. It means that now Kokonakis is up to number 79 in the world, which then obviously helps with direct qualification to events. So that helps him out for next year. And Lee too, stepping up another 6 or 8 places to 178. So another notable name amongst the list is Bernard Tomic. We haven't really talked about him too much. He's in the Nick Kyrgios category of we're not sure what he's doing. But he's actually got his ranking up to 207 at the moment, which I think's a pretty fair
Probably
effort.
higher than we would have realised. So. Good to see Lee Too's name, though, there, the former Prince Alfred boy. I remember watching him when I was coaching at Prince's, and so I've always followed him a bit because of that. So,
And then obviously famously from a couple of, month or so ago against Carlos Alcaraz at the US Open on the show court, and he didn't let himself down, that's for sure.
Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to NBA. Some teams are starting to sort themselves out. Once again, the Celtics and the Oklahoma, Thunder are around the mark. So really looking forward to that. There's only been about 7 or 8 games, so we might cover that in a bit more depth. But I just thought it was very interesting that we should point that one out. Let's move on to motorsport. Max Verstappen takes out the Brazilian Grand Prix, but Oscar Piastri actually started on pole.
Yeah, but faded, which is a bit disappointing.
Went back to 8th. Max Verstappen leading the championship ahead of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, I think it's said. But Oscar's actually sitting 4th in the championship. Now, that actually surprised me. A bit like Bernard Tomic.
Yeah.
Didn't quite sort of know where he sort of sat in that, but he's actually in 4th on the Drivers' Championship.
Which is encouraging. So, see how he goes. But, it's promising.
Do we see him being one of Australia's best drivers if he keeps up at this pace?
Hold the phone. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on. Baseball World Series, congratulations have to go to the Los Angeles Dodgers, winning the series 4-1. Mate, I couldn't have said it any better. Obviously, being a Boston man myself, it was quite nice. But, no, I think the Dodgers definitely had the talent to be able to do it. And New York made some critical errors at some very, very important times.
Wow.
But I think the big one is Freddie Freeman makes history in the 10th inning of Game 1 of the World Series with a walk-off grand slam. Now, this is again, we're full of surprises in the extra time big finish. This is the first time to ever happen in World Series history.
Well done, Fritz Freeman. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just an amazing statistic. You imagine all these World Series games, and it's never happened before, and he just does it for the first time.
Incredible.
It was an absolute beauty. All right, let's talk some SANFL news. New facility I hear on the grapevine is being built at West Lakes. It's all been given the go-ahead, and I reckon they're going to break ground very, very soon. Is this a good thing for the SANFL?
Yeah, not sure on that. Yeah, I'm a bit confused. I want to do a bit more delving on that one.
Yep.
I can't quite work that out.
So obviously the Crows and the SANFL swap facilities.
Yeah.
What's the go with the Thebarton facility? Because it seems like there might be a little bit of water still to go under the bridge there.
I would think so. Yeah. As I said,
and now the SANFL are going ahead, so
it's a bit muddying. It's got me a bit beat.
It's gonna be very interesting. All right, mate. Let me play the the big thing that we've all been waiting for.
Rulebook rant.
All right, mate, take it away.
Look, we're all wrapped that the South Australia are improving and doing well in the cricket. We all agree on that. But, let's get a couple of things there right. It is to go to a Shield game as a non-member, it's $10 to get in, and it's $20 to park your car.
Yep.
Now, that is pricing it out of reams of a lot of pensioners. Now, it's supposedly to give you better value for your membership. So, in other words, penalising other people is giving you, as a member, better value. Now, there are two people employed for that day to take the wages. They would not be raising the money from the entry fee of $10 to pay the wages for that. So what business model can suddenly decide that that's a better idea? It is bullshit.
Yep.
It is. It's moronic stupidity. Why not? Let's work out ways to give the member better value, not penalise the people. Now, the other thing on that, one idea to give the members better value, we're following South Australia. Why not have some barbecues with the players? Actually a chance to meet a player. There'd be a lot of South Australian supporters who've never met a player. Just a little thing like that. When you go, should I actually want to go and watch Alex Carey, because I've met Kez, along those lines.
Yes.
So Spencer Johnson.
Disconnect.
Let's get some connection there.
Yep.
But to penalise pensioners especially, and people say it's only $10. Well, not, and say, but public transport's free. There's a lot of people who aren't well enough to be able to catch public transport. There's Rodney Nottage on my post on Facebook today has said he's not well enough to walk down from the train station, so he stays home. Another guy who's a pensioner, there's about 6 pensioners have commented saying, no, they're not going now because of it. I know at least 20.
Yep.
It is absolute, and other states aren't charging. Tasmania, Lawrence Beltrieve there commented, well, hang on, at Belrive, it's free parking as well, let alone free to get in. Well, it's $30 here. So it's just, and the cost of living at the moment, we know the electricity and all that. We know of pensioners who won't turn their heating on or air conditioning on because they can't afford it.
Yep.
Well, let alone, therefore, and it was so important to have that as a mental health bit. I could name 300 to 500 pensioners where they sat at Adelaide Oval.
Because that was their spot all the time.
All the spot, and that was their way of catching up with John and with Eric and that, who aren't going. So that's them sitting at home. Nowhere near as healthy as getting out and mixing. You pay enough bloody money. The prices there are crap as it is on food and drink. Why charge as well?
Yep.
The parking, look, it's Adelaide City Council. I get that. But, even at Tony Foster went to turn up to get to the game yesterday at 4:45, still went to charge him $20 to park his car. Turned around and went home.
Yep.
How dumb's that? And he is a member, actually. Just went, no, I'm not paying $20 to park my car at 4:45. So there's just a lack of common sense. They haven't thought it through. I only know of one member who's in favour of the charging, and I just don't think he's thought that through. He was just being pig-headed and being stupid, being honest. You've only got to go on to the post I did, Malcolm Rulebook Ashwood, and have a look through on what the inevitable, all the members, people there have all said the same thing.
Yep. We might share that to our socials and try and get
people there.
Yeah. Well,
we want people up and about for South Australia. There was at least a little bit of noise when we won yesterday.
Yes.
But there could have been another 500 to 1,000 people there. How much better would that have been?
Yep.
It ain't rocket science. Use some bloody common sense.
Bang.
Which isn't so common.
Bang. Mate, we'll leave the rulebook round there. I wholeheartedly agree. We'll actually put that on our socials there and see if we can get some noise behind it. I totally agree that it is very, very important. All right, let's leave the good, the bad, the ugly for tonight. Thank you once again for your your time again tonight, and obviously talking all things cricket and football and all sports as well. Until next week, we promise to do better. We'll see you then.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, mate.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at Sportscast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.